What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how is anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. You know, when I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. You know, I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober, and joining me in one of these Coach's Corner episodes is my man, John Tocq, or JLT of Stormforce Fitness over in Guernsey. How are you, brother? Welcome back to the podcast.
Good, but thank you. Seems like a long time since you did the last one.
Yeah, it does seem like a long time. Plenty of things to catch up on, mate. What we're going to talk about today, we're just going to have a general conversation, man. We spoke a little bit offline about what we're going to talk about, and it's primarily going to be around misconceptions that people have when they're first starting out on their fitness journey, or they're already, a couple of years down that path of their fitness journey, but they're not getting the results that they want. They're kind of like sitting on the hamster wheel and they don't know where to go from here. So, for any new listeners, just give them a very brief introduction to yourself, what you're doing, and what we're doing on this episode.
Yeah, it's been a very long journey, but basically over the last 15 years, I've gone from being a personal trainer in a commercial gym all the way through coaching big fitness camps. I was working obviously out in Thailand for a little bit after my gym building broke. So, I've been through a lot of different things and seen pretty much every angle of the fitness industry, whether it is people coming into, like we were talking about, people coming into this game of fitness, people who are in it, they made it that typical beginner progress and now they've got stuck. Seeing, like yourself, kind of like the athlete side and the team side. And obviously each part of those journey has kind of shown me that there's obviously specifics to each part of that journey, but a lot of people we're all making the same mistakes. There's a lot of things, particularly on the mindset level, that are tripping people up. I've seen it in, one of my friends is, she got a bronze medal in the Olympics, and we had the same conversations about how she perceives things when it comes to training as people you see coming on fitness holidays, the guys in the UFC. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, is these perceptions that people have of what is required, what works, why things are going wrong, and hopefully we can help people, whatever stage you guys are at listening. Often it's just one tiny thing. If we can get through one tiny obstacle, then it suddenly opens up like this whole world of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just realised someone's cleaning my window, so you might get a bit of noise.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is that noise?
It was raining.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that's a great topic that we're going to dive into because, as you said, this is one of the reasons why I started the podcast, right? And you've got your own podcast as well. And I'm sure, that's one of those reasons why you started that, was to get this information out there, because no matter who you're talking to, whether it's general population, whether it's a fucking elite athlete, like everyone's going through the same things, right? And I've spoken to, numerous professionals in the game, in, multiple areas, multiple facets of health and fitness, whether it's training, whether it's nutrition, strength and conditioning, rehabilitation, et cetera, mindset. And, a lot of the same themes keep coming up over and over and over again. Like, to me, it's the principles that are the most important thing. And once you understand those principles, then, you tweak and adjust them to suit every single individual, because principles are few, but methods are many.
Yeah.
And this is what, you and I, we've had people, mention this to both of us before. Like, we are very similar coaches, and a lot of the coaches that I get on this podcast, you know, people are like, oh, you guys like speak the same language. And it's like, because we're all spruiking principles, right? We're not those fucking people out there that are just trying to, you know, sell you something through a method, right?
Yeah.
All the good coaches are talking about principles. Hey, are you getting enough sleep? Are you staying hydrated?
Yeah.
Are you getting sunshine? You know, are you eating the right amount of calories in the right ratios at the right times? Like, you know, are you sending the right signal with your training? Blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, a healthy organism is an adaptable organism. So we need to fucking make sure that people are healthy. We spoke about it before. Like, you know, we need to get people to the start line before they start like, you know, training for performance or training for weight loss or training for a marathon or whatever. Hey, can you get to the fucking start line first?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, you pretty much touched on that first point about this whole social media thing. Some days it really gets me, man. Like the stuff I see there, almost like people are being sold this sort of utopia. You know, you're watching someone on Instagram going, oh, I wish I could, you know, walk 100 meters on my hands and do sort of 50 muscle ups and all these. It's like this, it's not even going to be the finish line. Like, a lot of people are never even going to reach that stage, but they feel like, right, this is what it's all about. I have to reach this end game. I have to reach what this guy I've seen on Instagram is like. That's what I have to do. And when I get there, I've reached this point in life where it's all, they always see it like a door. Like, I'll go through the door, I can shut that door, and I'm permanently now in this amazing life. Like we said before, I say to people, they look at it like money. So, right, I need some money. I'm going to work super hard for 3 months. I'm going to make loads of money, put it in the bank, and it will stay there for when I need it. And it just doesn't work like that. We need to look at, like you said, about the principles and how do we build this up? How do we create this system, whatever you want to call it, that you're willing to do over and over again and just steadily kind of level it up. And unfortunately, this, like we said about the people getting into the game, like for any of you listening that are just sort of coming into fitness and maybe you might have met Sean out at Tiger, you know, done a couple of weeks and that was your introduction. Where do I go from here? It's like, you know, if you're suddenly thinking, right, I'm going to train, I saw Sean training Petter Yan at Tiger, I'm going to train like that dude because his training looks exciting, he looks strong, he looks dynamic. If you believe that, you know, that is what you need to do straight away, you're probably never going to get started. Because I can guarantee you, if you try and train like Petter for one day, you're going to be a mess.
Yeah, you're gonna get injured, man.
You're gonna be sore. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's a great point. Like, you know, for those listening or anyone that's new, like I've been training Peter Yan since before he made his UFC debut, and I think I've had him for like 5 of his 8 UFC fights. And you know, the first couple of fight camps were all about that general physical preparation, right? Like he was a new dude. I didn't know how he moved. Obviously, I saw him in the gym and I was like, he's a fucking freak athlete, but I still need to go through my assessments and I still need to build his foundation of, you know, his strength, his speed, his power, mobility, stability, endurance, stamina, energy systems, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so the first couple of fight camps are all about that general physical preparation. But then, you know, once I've been working with him for a couple of years, each fight camp, then we start getting more and more specific. All right, cool. Now he's fighting Jimmy Rivera. This is what we're going to do here. Now he's fighting Uriah Faber. This is what we're going to do here. Now he's fighting Jose Aldo. This is what we're going to do here. We're targeting specific adaptations, but he had that foundation over years and years of training with me. Plus he had his own foundation from, you know, training for a decade or so before that. So I think that's a great point, man. People look at these flashy Instagram exercises and they go, oh, well, this dude's doing that. He's fucking jacked or he's lean. They've got the body that I want. I'm going to start doing that. When it's like, well, no, like do what that person did for 20 years to get to that point, to be able to do that and make that thing look good.
Yeah, this is such like I've seen this so many times. And the problem is with the social media again is the very nature of it is we will, if we hear about something, like if you watch the UFC, you never heard of Peter Yan, you're like, okay, wow, this guy's awesome. I'll start following him. So your first experience of him is, you know, all this crazy shit he's doing, you know, the top level fights, all of this. You haven't seen all the stuff that went before. And we actually always had an argument once at an event I was hosting, which was actually more kind of business. It was like fitness business related. And one of the guys a lot of people know, I'm not going to mention names because it was a bit of a private conversation, but he said to one of the others, listen, man, I respect what you're saying, but the things you're telling us that will grow your business. He said, I know for a fact that isn't how you were doing it 20 years ago when you were starting out in business. You know, it's like a classic thing, like what got you to 6 figures won't get you to 7 figures, and what gets you to 7 figures won't make you a sort of multi-billionaire. It takes different things to get to different stages. And if you're not willing to do, you know, like if everybody tries to act like Elon Musk right now in order to make money, you know, what he's doing is not going to fit your life. Like what you need to be doing is turning up for your job, you know, working your way up the ranks. The same thing applies to the fitness. You need to understand the personal complexities of, I look at it as like a recipe, you know, you could even, like you said, looking at fighters, even if we take 3 different UFC fighters, they all want to win the belt. So like the end goal is the same. But you might have one who's got incredible endurance, like can just go like a Duracell bunny for endless hours, but actually doesn't have much strength or power. Whereas you could have somebody who's an absolute monster, super strong, can lift a truck, but can only do it for 30 seconds. Again, even those 2 guys, they're both at the top end of the career, but they needed the next ingredient to make that recipe better is different. Yeah. And I think this is the problem. This social media is becoming this funnel where it's almost like everybody copies what everyone else is saying. And it's how do I one-up, how do I impress people, how do I get the likes? And it like we said, it's not what 99% of people need. And it's creating this sort of vacuum of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what social media is, though. It's like this flashy stuff that draws attention because, I mean, why do you go on social media? It's for those fucking, you know, quick fixes, man.
Yeah.
Like, how much information can you get across in like a 1-minute fucking video, bro? So here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to show fucking Peter Yarn doing trap bar deadlifts and bench presses and pull ups, you know, for fucking 4 sets of 6. Nobody wants to see that, bro.
He's sleeping for 9 hours. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody channels for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, bro. Nobody wants to see that shit, man. They want to see like the fucking the sprints, the jumps, the throws, the super aggressive, like, you know, lactic conditioning work where he's fucking getting beasted, man. And the
like going back to the, you know, like it. So I was going to say, like, you know, if you're starting running, if you've got the wrong pair of shoes on, you're barely going to get to the end of the road. You know, and that's what people are doing. They're putting on the wrong pair of shoes and then wondering why. Like, I tried to train like Peter because I saw him at Tiger, tried it for a week, broke down, had a rest. Then I came back to Tiger and saw, you know, one of the other guys, or I should, you know, see someone like yourself training. Oh, Sean's in great shape, I'll train like him, I'll do the muscle ups, I'll do the gymnastics. Now my shoulder's knackered, I need 2 weeks off. And it's this constant circle. It's like, it's because you're trying to put the wrong pair of shoes on.
Yes.
And yeah, it's like, unless you can accept the basics, then it is just this constant break and restart cycle.
Yep. I love that analogy. Now, for anyone listening that is on this journey and, you know, maybe they've been on their journey for a couple of years and they've hit a little bit of a plateau and they don't know where to go from here, or someone's sitting at home and they're like, you know what, I've been thinking about starting or restarting my health and fitness journey. Like, where do they start?
Well, I hope you don't mind me doing a shameless plug, but I did recently write a book, The Secrets of Showing Up, and what I've done there is it's basically 3 different phases, where the first phase is literally like the sort of minimum of effective habits. So it is looking at your sleep. It's, you know, preparing, say, 2 meals a day. You know, everyone can prepare dinner, prepare their breakfast. Even if lunch, you might grab something on the go. It's trying to find that, Tim Ferriss calls it the minimum effective dose of things that are going to work. So it is, you know, it's the boring stuff, like the stuff nobody wants to hear, like getting enough water in, getting to bed at a certain time, blacking out your bedroom. Like, these things don't even sound like fitness at first, you know, but you could not step in a gym. If you do that stuff, you will still lose weight, you'll have a shitload more energy. And then it's like, once those things become habits, then we move on to the next stage. So in terms of the exercise, I actually say at the start, I don't even care what you do in the gym. And this sounds stupid coming from a personal trainer, but I'm like, I want to see you show up at the gym or go running or go and play tennis, whatever you want to do. I want to see you do that 3 times a week for 3 or 4 weeks, non-negotiable. It's like you're your most important client, like at work, where you know, people have this at work, like that client you will never cancel, like you will sell your soul, you will run barefoot down the street to make the meeting. Like, treat your exercise like that. Make the showing up the habit. And then after that, you know, we can start talking about your protein and your calories and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of like just making sure that that compass is pointing in the right direction first. Because that is the other side of things. This is a good, I think we might have said this on the last podcast about how if that, your days in the military, like if the compass is just out 1 degree, take 10 steps, you're basically on the right path. But take 100 steps, go 10K, all of a sudden you are miles off.
Yeah.
And then you've got to start coming all the way back. So sometimes it's not even the physical things, it's the mind and looking at, what I'm about to embark on. Is this something that excites me enough to do it 3 times a week? Is it something that will actually make my life better to start with? Do you understand why training isn't going to make your life better? Because, that we've spoken about people at different stages, that changes as you go along. Well, maybe not us because we're getting old as well, but for, someone who's like 20, 25, it's like, look, you just want to put on muscle and get laid. Like, if you can understand that, you're going to get in the gym. That's why guys up to we talk, I've got to be careful what I say here, but, we talk about the classic marriage thing where everybody will hit the gym, they want to look good, they want to get laid, they want to get a boyfriend, girlfriend. As soon as they get the girlfriend, as soon as they get married, all of a sudden, now they don't need to go to the gym in order to find a partner. So again, if you can't now find another reason to go, you're not going to do it.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point. That's that internal validation versus the external validation. Like, if you're going to the gym to get laid, to look better for the opposite sex or your partner or whatever, like, that's not going to be enough to keep you going over and over again consistently for the rest of your life. Like, you need to find a way that is going to make you feel better about yourself. So to tie into what you were just saying is, if someone wants to get started, you need to be aware of where you're at right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That is, as you said, man, like, because it's all well and good to say, hey, there's the finish line over there. That's where I want to go. But if you have no fucking clue where you are right now, like, it doesn't matter what direction you walk, right? Like, you need to know where you are first before you can start setting the direction. All right, this is where I am. I always do this with my clients, man. Like, I just had one of my friends just came back on after probably about 18 months. She trained with me in Thailand. Then she went home, did a couple of cycles of online coaching. And then like COVID hit, blah, blah, blah. And she recently reached out to me again and we started working together. And, she's like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, what do we do every time? I want you to track your food. I want you to, I want you to track your food. I want you to track your sleep. I want you to track your steps. I want you to, pay attention to how food's affecting you. I want you to pay attention to your sleep. I want you to pay attention to how much sunshine you're getting throughout the day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all I want you to do for the next week is that. Okay. Once you've done that, then we'll start talking about X, Y, Z. Then we'll start adding things in. Like, we're choosing small things that we can start either doing and implementing again. So something I said to her was like, look at when you were at your best. What are those habits that you were doing back then, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, when you were living your best life? And I'm like, you don't need to do all of that stuff again. You just need to prioritize the one thing that you can do consistently for the next couple of weeks and tick that win off the list. As you said, man, we spoke about it last time, that win calendar, right? Like, you're ticking those little wins. Did I drink 3 liters of water today? Tick. Do that for 2 weeks. If I've got green ticks, sweet. Now I can add something else. Yeah. If I don't get 14 days of green ticks and I get a couple of X's in there, sweet. That's what I'm working on. I'm trying to build consistency and add those wins up, because those wins that you add up day after day after day lead into winning the week, lead into winning the month, leading to winning the year. And I mean, that's the important thing here, right? Is like setting yourself up for wins, because if you're winning, success breeds success, right? And failure also breeds more failure, because then you start beating yourself up. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, in my opinion, man, is they make this decision. This is where I'm going. I'm going to do everything. They throw the fucking kitchen sink, right? And that's all well and good for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whilst they've got motivation. But then once life gets in the way and, all those small little habits start creeping back in again because they haven't built the foundation, then one thing slips, then the next thing slips, then the next thing slips. And then it's like, oh, well, I slept in this morning. I didn't get up and go for my run. So now, my day's ruined. Now I'm going to eat like shit. Now I'm going to not fucking take my steps. Now I'm not going to get sunshine. Now I'm not going to drink enough water. And it's like this flow-on effect, man. So I really think, those small, small habits done consistently over long periods of time. That's where the magic is, bro. And tying everything into what I was just going to say, tying everything in, man. Like that's where the lessons are, bro. You fucking learn the lessons on the journey, right? You know, as you said, so many people are like looking at the finish line. Dude, I'll tell you right now, I've been in this fucking game for 20 years. That finish line, if you're doing it properly, that finish line is always moving, right? So you shouldn't be looking to fucking get to the finish line. You should be looking to make your progress towards the finish line, but then you're tweaking and adjusting as you go.
Yeah.
You're adding things in, you're taking things out.
So underestimated. Like people think this. I've seen it so many times with people who run marathons, and it almost takes over your life. An Ironman, whatever it is, you're training hard, you're doing all the things, and all you think about is this line. And then these people finish the marathon, and then it's like they fall off a cliff afterwards. And it's like, well, I've done that now. Why would I still go to the gym? Why would I still eat healthily? And they literally fall back. They gain weight over the next month or two. I'm not saying it's quite a good idea to take a couple of weeks and, sort of deload a bit. But the point is, like I keep saying, you keep showing up. You keep doing, at least, be in the gym. Even if you're doing mobility sessions, you do a little bit of cardio. Like, again, I don't really care, but keep showing up and keep doing it. And then we start working on the details. If you're thinking, the first session in the gym, you need to know your exact sets, reps, and tempos, and exact angles and force vectors. All these bodybuilders talking about force vectors on cable machines and stuff like that stuff's important if you're at that level. Year or two, But if you're now, I'm not going to do biceps because I can't get on the cable machine and do that particular force vector. Like that's what breaks people down, and it's looking and saying, well, how can I show up? How can I get to? What's the closest thing I can do to the program that's been set? And it's this idea of trying to be perfect from the start. That really is kind of what screws people up. And I think just on all of that stuff, I think the other thing is thinking about why have you not started so far? Yeah. Okay, because that forces you to look at the excuses you've been making to this point. We were talking about this before, about if we take somebody and we say, well, how come you haven't had personal training? Or why are you not having personal training? Oh, I can't afford it. That's their excuse. And then you see them in 3 months' time. You go, how come you're still not training? Oh, well, now I'm really busy because I was doing all the work to start making a shitload of money. Then they're tired because they were so busy. And then it's like, oh, well, I just feel bad about myself, so I don't want to go in the gym because I've been eating shit all the time. And they were eating shit because they were so tired, comfort eating. And it's like you're constantly layering on these excuses. And the honest truth is you will never get your ducks in a row. And even if you do, it will last about 3 days. And then some other shit's going to hit the fan. And this is why we keep talking about this showing up. It's like, okay, you're having a bad day. I get it. It happens. But go to the gym. Drink your water. Get to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever it is. Because I was telling you before, I'm reading this great book at the moment called The Comfort Crisis, and it's how we have become so accustomed to creating comfort in our life that we literally cannot handle discomfort. So it's almost like as soon as one thing goes wrong, that's it. My life is now dysfunctional. I can't do anything. And it's. I had people this week, starting to warm up over here. To you, like being in Thailand, it's not even that warm. It's like 18, 19 degrees. But when it's been 9 or 10 degrees, now it's like, oh man, it's so warm in here. Can we have the doors open? People are going, can you buy one of these big fans? And can you buy this? And can you buy that? And aircon? And I'm like, guys, it's literally like 18, 19 degrees. Like it's not hot. It's not humid. But the point is they've got used to gyms that are, right, we'll have it at exactly 17 degrees. And, I'm used to having exactly this time in the gym. So, oh shit, now I've only got 30 minutes. Oh, I can't do my session. I'm not going to go at all. It's like, listen, I could literally crush you in 15 minutes. There's always a way. And even if, you've got 15, 20 minutes, go and do something and it keeps the routine. And then maybe, Monday wasn't a great session, but Wednesday we're back on it. Yeah. If you don't turn up on Monday, then, you know what it's like. We start deflating a bit. Oh, it's Wednesday now. I'm out on Friday. I'll wait till next Monday.
Yeah, man.
Next day it's Christmas and you've done fuck all.
Dude, I always say, it's so much easier to maintain momentum than it is to regain or recreate it. So, you know, if shit does happen, and, you know, of course there's going to be fucking outstanding circumstances where you can't get to the gym or you can't do whatever movement you've decided to do. It doesn't even have to be at the gym. You might decide to play tennis a couple times a week, or, you know, go for a walk along the Esplanade and take the dogs for a walk, play with the kids or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, man. Like, find something that you're going to be able to enjoy. That's the first thing, man. Find something that you're going to be able to enjoy, that you can do consistently, that you can, you know, put into your schedule. And as you said, man, so many people go, well, I don't have an hour to train, so I'm not going to do it at all. And it's like, well, fuck.
You know,
just because you can't get 8 hours sleep doesn't mean you're going to pull an all-nighter. Like, it's the same thing with training, right? Still get to the gym. It's part of your routine, right? But as you said, instead of going and smashing yourself for an hour, do some mobility work, do some breathing work, do some stretch work. Depending on, you know, what's happening. Are you stressed out because you've just lost your job or found out your partner's having an affair or whatever? Like, yeah, man, like there's going to be, you don't want to add stress on top of stress, but the benefits of training is you can adapt your training to either add stress so you can adapt to it, or you can use it for de-stressing, right? But we just need to be aware of how we're using it, because it's a tool, man.
Do you know, I think there's two sides to that. The one side is like what we said at first, the social media stuff is making you feel like every session has to be this glorious showpiece where, you know, every rep is perfect, I've upped my weights, I've done... I mean, the amount of times I come in and I'm like, how can I not lift this today? But I do it, I do the best I can. Next session I go back in. I mean, as we speak, I've just taken my thing off. I dislocated my finger, randomly decided to play a fun game of netball, which I haven't admitted to many people. But literally a week ago today, my finger was literally out here. It went kind of like Z shape, got it put back in. There's a fracture in there. The next day, someone said to me, "Why the fuck are you in the gym?" And this is exactly the reason. Was my session great? No. Did I do what I was supposed to do? No. But I was able, you know, I couldn't hold the barbell properly, so I couldn't bend my finger back. So I was using the safety squat bar. I still caned my legs. I went on the leg press instead of doing dumbbell lunges, I think were on the program. Even like my rows, I've got one of those things, like people are calling me Captain Hook now. The kind of, like the straps with the hook on. I've got one of those because I can still do a workout. Mm-hmm. You know, and it will keep me in the game for a couple of weeks, and then I'll accelerate forward rather than just going, oh, life's shit, you know, oh, fuck my life, I'm not going to do anything, I'll leave it for 2 weeks. You know, I'll probably get a little bit depressed because I'm not exercising, and then I'll be like, I might as well have a few beers. You know, if I'm not exercising, then it doesn't matter if I'm hungover. You know, now all of a sudden, even someone like myself, I start losing muscle, probably put on a bit of body fat. It's going to be a shit ton harder to get back in the gym. You know, this is what happens. Like we said, you can't bank this stuff. Okay, so at least if you can keep topping up the account, you're still in the game, and then you accelerate. And you know, there's so many of these like success graphs where people say you think success is like that, but it's actually like a squiggle and roundabout and backwards and up and down. And you know, that's how it works. But I think the other thing is this. What's his name? Martin Seligman, I think his name is, a psychiatrist who back in the 70s, and he coined this phrase of learned helplessness. You know, it's like the more times you allow yourself to not show up and to not fail, you convince yourself that you cannot control your life. You convince yourself that the weather is too hot. You know, I haven't got enough money. I'm too tired. I'm not capable. I'm maybe at school you were the fat kid in the class. You know, I hate to put it like that, but sometimes it's true. But even if that's the case, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, that stuff doesn't stop you getting in the gym now. And I think that takes a lot of soul searching. It takes time to sit down and say, what excuses am I making right now? Like, what do I believe are the reasons for me not showing up? And then explore those things and go, well, was that ever true in the first place? And, you know, is it still true now? And sometimes if you are brutally honest with yourself, or you even, you know, do this with a friend, you know, get someone to give you their sort of non-emotional opinion on it, and you start to see things very, very differently. And sometimes that alone can be so much more powerful than spending hours like on T Nation and, like I said, looking at all these amazing programming options and, like we said, tempos and set schemes and all of this. Just take a look at your life and see where you've convinced yourself that you're helpless, and that alone is literally like, you can't drive a car fast until you take the brakes off, and until you're willing to look at your own life in a very harsh way sometimes, you are kind of spinning your wheels.
Oh man, I am my own harshest critic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm always like analyzing, reviewing everything I'm doing, and then I'm like, how can I improve that? I'm in a shitty situation. What have I done to put me here? Right? This goes back to what we were talking about before, bros. Like, you're talking about these exercises and sets and reps and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, people are looking ahead, but they don't know where they are right now. The first thing you need to do is be aware of where you are right now. And sometimes that means, as you said, getting some criticism from someone that you actually care about, whose opinion, you can trust, who is going to be honest with you. And, this is, again, like, your environment is a big part of who you are and how you perceive the world, man. Because you don't want people that are going to just be fucking yes men and be like, oh no, you're awesome the way you are. But like, I message my mates. I'm like, tell me the fucking truth about this podcast. Tell me about this. Like, tell me the things that I need to work on that you don't like. Tell me things that you do like. Tell me things that you don't like, so I can continue improving. Right? Like, it's feedback, man. That is part 1 of my Coach's Corner mini-series with John Tocq of Stormforce Fitness. Apologies for some of the background noise there. There's obviously a few things that are outside of our control. We try and keep the audio quality as clean as possible to enhance listener experience. This episode was brought to you by Be Spunky, which is an Australian-made male hormone optimization supplement, which is TJ listed, meaning that it's kind of regulated, and everything that is being claimed by the company needs to be approved before it goes out to the public. And it's also a nutraceutical, meaning that all of the compounds that make up the supplement are found organically in nature. You can go onto their website, bespunky.com.au, use the code COBES10 at checkout for a 10% discount. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Much love, guys. Peace.